can be a false negative, but not a false positive.
Okay. All right, we're gonna call the meeting to order. It's 5 o'clock. Roll call, Kaisa, Jan, Greg, and myself. All right, let's start with 1B, admin reports. Ooh, I don't have it pulled up. Let's start with Scott Newton.
All right.
Y'all look over there, y'all matching, great. Thanks for doing that.
Hey, April, in our board docs, it just links us back to the agenda, not the report. So, no biggie. We'll just listen with bated breath.
All right. So, coming off spring break, we started trimester 3 this week, so definitely a transition for a Friday before spring break being the last day of trimester 2 to this, and busy, and but everybody's doing great. Grades are due on tomorrow, Thursday, 11:59 p.m. for trimester 2, and they're transitioning into 3 right now as well. Right prior to break, we had donkey basketball, which I think here is best described as a very unique and but fun event. I thought our community and people came out a lot more. I mean, it was a fun night, right? So for a great cause for helping our league group with their incoming freshmen and helping support some of their needs and the events that they're going to do. Anne-Marie Campo, Jen Rude, and the volunteer team, and all the people that went on the donkeys, I 100% chickened out. I hit up in the mez, and I was watching Julie struggle, and I didn't know how to do that. I give him credit.
It was a struggle.
So thank you for all that. There's a lot of moving pieces right now. We met with some kids today as well, and we met with staff this morning talking about, we put together AP application forms. We're talking to freshmen, sophomores today about scheduling for next year and going through all that stuff. So it's a busy time of year. Also with ACT coming up end of this month, we're also thinking for next year. So there's a lot of moving pieces going on. And then also with the start of spring, we have a lot of spring sports kicking into gear right now. I also though want to just do some updates for when we finalize with our winter season. Some huge accomplishments, and I know I'm not going to do everything, so I feel bad for this, but Talon Bird did place 5th place at state wrestling, and we got some nice young kids coming up. We had some seniors too, as New Dean. I'm excited for the program there, and I think it's almost been 10 years since we had a kid place at state, so a lot of positive things there, and I think things to look forward to. Powerlifting had 10 individuals move on to state for them as well. And then we had dance as well. So we had 3 Fridays in a row where we had Pep Fest for sending kids up, which is a great thing. It's sometimes be tough with high schoolers, of course, in the gym at 8 o'clock in the morning, but it's also cool to represent those things happening for our kids and all the great things they're doing. Our boys were co-conference champs in basketball, and like I said already, the spring sports season is underway. So a lot of things are being busy. It's nice with the weather. Hopefully it stays that way. It looks like it's gonna be cooler, but track, softball is in the play. We have baseball, soccer starting next week, with boys tennis and boys golf starting the following week. So on to the next.
And all your coaching positions are?
Yes, we're all filled for this spring and moving along. Our numbers are looking strong. I'll have a better idea once we get through the next 2 weeks for sure where our numbers fall, but everything's looking pretty consistent like it has been in the past year. So I mean, you see the tri kids, we got a lot of kids participating, which we want. It's a great thing for kids. And not just that, we have our drama club is going on as well. So they go from practice into that drama club practice afterwards. So kids are at the building until 9 o'clock at night, being very busy. So it's a lot.
Okay, sounds good. So we have officially completed the PCSA self-assessment. It's the procedural compliance self-assessment. So thank you to all the special education teachers and their due diligence for what needed to be addressed. We go through this process every 5 years, but the items that we focus on and the items that we're targeting they're changing every 5 years. So we started this journey back in 2022-23 school year. Had a whole team. They select certain IEPs, certain evals. We have to go through it and make sure we're kind of hitting all of our marks. So some items that DPI said that we were doing really well is how the special ed teachers are writing their disability area related needs. The IEP goals are written really well, and then the present level of academic and functional performance. So just had a lot of positive feedback on that. The items that we needed to address, and that has kind of been a focus of DPI right now, is just how we're writing and then implementing any shortened days for students that have IEPs. how we can increase the students back to full days, so what those plans are in place if we have any students on shortened days. And then addressing how and why the students are not fully included in special education. So we have to really be able to explain why they're being pulled out from their general peers. So just some items to continue to work on. But we're done, so it's taken a while.
Awesome.
All right, so, obviously lots of big things happening at the high school at the same time that Scott and I made our transitioning. All of this tiny little thing called scheduling happens. Really not very tiny as we get going into it. So we have got a lot of things happening at the same time. One of them is ACT prep, so not only just outside resources that we're pulling in for kids, but then we set up a rotation for, our English and social studies departments to be doing some ACT prep. That started on Monday after break. That sounds like a great day to start ACT prep, but that's what we did. So for juniors, that's happening, Monday, Wednesday, Fridays until the following Wednesday on the 27th. That's when our testing is. So on the 27th, no seniors will be in the building. Everyone else is testing that whole morning from like 8 to 12:30ish. And then we have a fun afternoon planned for kids. They're gonna do a course fair. So this is something that we've done with the 8th graders going to the high school to learn about all the elective classes. And then we expanded it this year for all of our our current high schoolers to be, they're gonna join in on that. So they're gonna learn about core pathways, prerequisites. Each core department is gonna be able to have some time with kids to talk about, if you're gonna be a nurse, this is the science pathway that you should be looking at. If you're gonna be in agriculture, this is the pathway that you should be taking. So they're gonna be able to just talk a little bit more about their classes in general and specifically to kids that maybe they don't get to see all the time.
And what was nice about that is actually that was requested from staff members. They wanted time to talk to kids more about opportunities for them in their classes and work at taking and all those positive things. So it's gonna be short times, that's where we're finding, trying to hit all the main parts of it all, but I think it's also, we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, so we started with electives to begin with originally with the 8th grade group, and then now the core people are like, we want time too. So now it's just this battle of how do we get everyone time, and there's only a certain amount of time in the day, so.
I love that they're fighting for time with their kids.
It's great,
I love it.
it's gonna be really good. So that's happening in the afternoon, so, normally kids would go home that afternoon or could go home that afternoon, so that would be a big change, because we're requiring kids to stay. The carrot is their registration materials, and that's how they get to register stuff, that's how we're hooking them in. And then on top of that, as Scott mentioned, we're collecting, going through the process of collecting applications for, I don't know, there's like 14 different things, so like coffee shop or AP classes or CAPS or all of the college credit opportunities for kids, lots of different things that we're collecting right now and trying to clean up what that process looks like, so we have that before kids register instead of after kids register. So just working on all of that right now. And then we've got all these meetings set up with kids and parent meetings coming up on the 20th for our incoming freshmen and then our current 9th, 10th, and 11th grade parents and students. So lots of big things. And then I linked in there our first OHS March newsletter. So.
Karen.
So obviously our 8th graders will be participating with the high school, so thanks to Amanda and Scott for organizing that and inviting our students over. Right before break, I had the opportunity to go to a conference called Nourish the Future. It was part of the Commodity Classic, so I went to a big farming convention. And the group's goal is really unique. It's trying to bring relevancy to the classroom through agriculture. The group's message is that agriculture is high tech, and they want students to be excited about going into things that are high tech and just making those connections. So it was a great way to spend a few days and to really think about how I can bring that back to my building, which is pretty cool. We live in an agricultural rural community, and I think bringing that into our classrooms is a wonderful opportunity for us. It was field trip season throughout March. 6th, 7th, and 8th grade each had different field trips. The 6th grade went to a play and had an opportunity to practice their dining etiquette. The play that they watched was Alice in Wonderland. The 8th grade watched a play as well called Freedom Riders, going back through, I believe it was the civil rights movement. And they also had a etiquette lunch. Both of them ate at Olive Garden, and both went off very well. The 7th grade had an opportunity to partake in a BizTown activity, which is like a simulation of students running these businesses and kind of integrating their own personal life into it, like personal finance, like balancing a checkbook, some of those skills that might not be taught in other places, at least within our building, in the school curriculum. So it was a great opportunity for some students to get some real world experience.
I had the opportunity to go to BizTown, had no idea what it encompassed, because it just seemed it was amazing.
It's really well
And I have no desire to manage a bank, is what I learned, with, 7th graders running the bank, so would be the kicker. And then after lunch, the BizTown staff gave the teachers money to go spend, and they were buying bouncy balls and glasses and hats, and the kids are like, look at Miss Roma, she's just spending all the money, like, it was so much fun to, and I said, they're real people, they have to go to the grocery store, I suppose, so I brought in so many levels, and it was just such a well-polished machine. It was safe, it was secure, it was so cool, so I highly recommend everybody go if you get the opportunity, so.
And just a shout out to add on to that, that's all from Jess, like he was our 7th grade social studies teacher, had that experience at a previous school. We rearranged some curriculum with 5th grade and then at the middle school, and so she brought that opportunity onto us, and we did a lot of fundraising beforehand, and BizTown did a lot of fundraising beforehand, and so kids didn't have to pay to go, so it's a really cool opportunity, but it's all brought to us by Jess,
It
so.
was so cool.
Mhm.
So then they wrote me handwritten thank yous, and my CEO said, thank you for helping me support my business, and I was like, that's amazing, because that's complete ownership of managing a US bank, so pretty cool. So, anyhow, so thanks for that opportunity. Julie.
Okay, we'll start with the elementary school. So it's perfect, I see that Kristen Boyle is here, and we talked a little bit this morning, we wanted to bring to you guys that, surprise! You might be wondering what that big white barrel thing with green around it is outside of the building at the elementary school, and it is actually a big bin that collects clothes for a tree. Kristen?
Thanks, Julie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called a tree machine, and I received an email on it a long time ago and kept deleting them until finally I looked into it a little bit more, and they call it a green raiser, so like fundraiser, but just obviously to help the earth. And for every, I don't have my cheat sheet on me, but I think it's every full bin
Is
I think
one
they
tree.
say is plants one tree, and they send you like reports on how, how you're helping the earth and all the things and the air quality, and but they also give money back to the district for every full bin. So
I'm sorry, did I miss something? What goes in the bin?
clothing,
Clothes.
so clothes or textile, clothes, shoes, any kind of textile, so, yeah, I mean, it's fully monitored by them. It has a, losing my words, they know when it's full, like it alerts them when it's full, so then they send someone out within 24 hours to empty it, and so there's really not a lot of work on our end to maintain it. So we're gonna do a little, contest for the next month to see how much our community can bring and how much money we can raise, and they're giving up to like $5,000 out to schools, for
Like
the top,
gently used
for the top
clothing or
winners.
old clothing?
It doesn't matter,
Anything.
it doesn't matter.
Like, taking a lot of
But
right
it
now,
just-
so just.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm just picturing like kindergartners, I don't need this sweatshirt today, and
They have to actually have clothes on.
Yeah.
Very
much when they win.
Okay, okay.
Well, and we were talking about it this morning, and it was like, okay, it's too bad we couldn't move it somewhere else so everybody could actually see it, cause it's kinda on the side of the building, and then learning that was the best place for it with snow removal, all the things, so then I just said to Kristen, I go, well, let's just ask the guys to move it. And then she had to explain to me that there's sensors all over it, so we can't just try to pick it up and move it, cause it just wouldn't go well, cause they would be here very quickly. So, we're not gonna touch it, but hoping that, we can move it to a more general area where everybody will know what we're talking about as we start messaging about this. So, that's our first thing with OES. In addition with that, so the OES progress reports are gonna be sent home this Friday. All the teachers have been working very hard on collecting data and being ready to give parents, you know, an idea of where students are at right now, compared to, you know, other students in the same grade level, and looking at that achievement and growth. So excited to get those out this Friday. Summer school planning is underway. I know that families are excited, they're asking questions, kids are excited. Now it's just getting, you know, more staff excited, and we're going full force. So getting ready for summer school. 4K, they're traveling next week to the Children's Museum. That's on March 18th, so working with 4K team. And fun fact, when that was communicated, I said they were going to the Science Museum. So our youngest 4-year-olds with their parents, I stressed them out just a tad. Because one thing said Science Museum and one thing said Children's Museum, and it was, you know, I said they're all in St. Paul. Everything's fine now, but fun fact for those families. And then we celebrated a very fun wellness week at that elementary school, had a nice assembly with some small competitions and everything, and did some fun pieces throughout the week. So a huge thank you to Kristen, Jen, and Julia for all their planning for that week. So it was just a nice break from some things. At the intermediate school, so our report cards will be sent home on Monday, the 18th. Teachers there too, they're working really hard. We're still doing the standards-based grading, so I feel like it's a pretty well-oiled machine at the intermediate school now with that. Planning for the forward exam, getting everything ready, from the scheduling to, we can now look at the practice tests and how things have just changed this year, especially with some of our ELA stuff. So hitting the ground running there, all the hard work, like this is that end game, that, you know, championship piece that we're waiting for. Lots of youth sport opportunities are coming up, from Pee Wee basketball, soccer, baseball. I mean, it's nonstop. I had coaches reaching out asking if things can go in the newsletter, so it's exciting to get those things going at such a young age. And maybe I just realize it more now than before, but it's a pretty cool thing, and how many volunteers and everything to get our younger kids up and at 'em. And tomorrow morning, the 5th graders are heading to the high school to join Kurt and Sarah for a middle school like musical festival invite thing, to where first they're going to talk all about band and show the different instruments and that whole piece, and then it moves to choir, and Sarah has a bunch of different stations that they're going to go through, and we're taking the entire 5th grade, so every kid is going to be introduced to something musical. So it'll be exciting. They get a ride there. They do not understand yet that they're actually going to be walking back, so that would be a fun surprise for all the kids and teachers. And then us too, we shared lots of smiles and laughter at the intermediate school wellness week. Lots of fun. We were able to, you know, kick things off with a big wellness night and then into wellness week. So more so competitions and trophies and at the intermediate school versus the elementary school. But that's the age appropriate. We have to see who can do the most push-ups. It's important.
I wasn't able to attend the wellness night, but was that successful?
It was, yeah.
Okay, great.
It was. Tons of positive feedback. More so, I think families were just so excited to come into the building and have something to do for a little bit. More elementary school parents than intermediate school parents, but that's exciting. Like, come on in, like, take a look around. Food truck ran out of food, so yay. We had a ton of protein balls left over. We froze them. And yeah, I mean, I think the kids love the jumpy house the most.
I think that feedback I heard from like Donkey Ball, whatever it's called. Parents appreciate coming in there too, because it was a different group of families than you often see at some of the sporting events for the high school. So I think the community is enjoying these times to come into the buildings and interact.
I think so too.
Thanks, Julie. Shannon.
Yeah, not a lot. Continuing to work on the 24-25 budget. You'll see part of that tonight when we discuss some different compensation amounts. And then starting the closing process for 23-24. Starting to look at accounts and cleaning them up, and maybe some of those year-end projects that we'll need to take care of. Thank you. Becky.
Okay, I have a few items for you. Act 60, so remember there's Act 20, we're talking about literacy. This Act 60 is more about financial literacy, and specifically requiring a high school graduation requirement by 2028. Good news, Osceola High School has had this as a requirement for a really long time. So we are set, we are good to go. This is not adding additional time, energy, or effort. Even ran it by the business department, they said, yes, we absolutely address all of those in our financial literacy class. We are winning, so there you go. April 1st, we're gonna honor our remarkable foundation setters. So all of the people who've retired from our school district have received an envelope. If we have their address, we've gotten many back that says they don't live at this address anymore, which is kind of breaking my heart a little bit because I know that they're here. I also got one back from a person whose wife passed away, that was a teacher here, but sent this beautiful note and the funeral card. So I'm sitting in my office just feeling sad, but okay. But if people have addresses of people they know that worked here, that have moved, I haven't figured out how to like do that privately, but not like, I had someone send me Mary Swenson's new address today because it came back. But like, anybody know where Judy Schultz is? So I have a list, so if anybody wants to know, have some addresses for me, I'd appreciate that. And we also posted it on social media for that purpose. And please know, board, if you would like to come, you are welcome to join us. We did it on service day with intention because we wanted to have the staff that currently exists here, if they want to intermix with the retirees, that could be a beautiful thing. And SF Insurance generously agreed to sponsor, so all of the desserts and the tablecloths and things are being paid for by them, so that was really kind of them as well. And lots of positive feedback from the retirees about having an opportunity. Many notes to me like, I'm out of town, can this be an annual event? Let's get through the first one and see how it goes, but yes. And just a note on, invited some elected officials in to have conversations with us. So Representative Magnifici has responded and said that she will be coming in. Tammy Baldwin's office has, I'm talking to, I don't know the way it's like her and then her other person and then another, like person number 6 is the person who I'm gonna connect with first to talk about what we could showcase and what we could do. So just trying to have those conversations about school and school funding and also the great things that public schools do. That's the purpose of those connections. And lastly, it wasn't on this, but Shannon and I have been meeting with every department in our district, offered everybody an opportunity, set up a time, face-to-face connection, collaboration, appreciation. We asked all of them, we gave them a 3x5 card, and I did a total teacher thing for them all. I put up a timer. So you can work on this your own. What are some things that we should consider as far as your workplace environment? What would make it better? Because we value you and your insights important. You can work alone or you can work with a partner. So believe it or not, we've met with 13 different departments already. We have a couple more left, but it's been very, very positive to sit in this room and have conversations with people.
I would love to hear some of that feedback.
Yep, we have, they of course, hey, you get to give us some positives and sincere as you, and then all of a sudden these things fly out of their mouth and you're just like, you know how great your department is. And we also lay the foundation of goal setting, because that's a piece, right? If we have all 248 people focused on something great for kids, imagine the power that has, that comes from their own personal piece. So we lay that foundation as well. So it's just really, really good stuff. And that's all I have.
Perfect, thank you. All right, that brings us to item 2, improving our instructional strategies, supporting student learning. A, review the cesa 11 shared services contract for 24-25.
So all of you have the blank one in front of you. Because I know some of you are built like I am, where I wanna know, well, did the price go up? I went through and checked all the prices. So, I just wanna go through it with you to tell you the ones that the first 3, you can see with the X's, we renew those automatically. So the administration cost went up by $583. The purchasing, bidding went up $39, and the delivery service went up $65, for a total of $687. And then going down to the comprehensive consulting and networking services, it doesn't show that we have renewed. That's like all of the meetings the principals and myself go to, so we would be taking that, and it went up $265. Going down then to the cybersecurity, it's funny, in their booklet, they don't even say what it is, they just know that they need to offer that service, which was great. So we had a conversation about that, I did talk to Carlene about it, she's like, let's see what it is and see what we want to engage in. But this is also a really good time to tell you, like, we've been working with Heartland as a district and have a cybersecurity plan, And there's like the 10 things that every district should know and be able to do, and Carly's been working with Heartland to make sure that we have all those in place. So that is a proactive approach that we've been taking. And the tech departments, it's Jim, Erica, and Carly are all working on that. And there's like a 27-page document that's been drafted so far. But we don't know what kind of support. For the consulting services, I have suggested we take 3 days. We know for sure we have a gifted and talented consultation that we'll need for sure next year. Generally, we do something with math and something with literacy, but wanted to just make sure we had at least 3 days in the budget.
What code is that, the 757?
Yes, 757, correct. Thank you. And then going down, I'll go with the codes now, to 650, we would renew that. Then 705, 702, and 345, we would take all of those. That's Title I, Title II, and Title III. That's really important for us to have that support for CESA for all of those federal dollars, because there's a lot of reporting that go with that. And then on the next page, or on the back of your page, audiology services, the hearing impairment, OT, and PT. And talking to Jesse, the PT at the hospital is retiring, and the hospital does not plan on retiring or replacing that position. So then we would give that through CESA. So that'll be a new service for us.
So that cost,
I have no idea. It's 2 students from what Jesse and I talked about at this time. And the pricing through CESA, according to what I read, is priced by student. And you'll recall in the past, the CODA, so that's the occupational therapy, the 151, that also came from OMC, but they didn't replace that position. So we've been using CESA for that as well. School site, we will again work with CESA, so that's 167. The speech will be a drop, so the 181 will be a drop. We have some online speech that we have been contracting with, and we won't be contracting next year. And then the 712, we will renew that. Again, that's all the things special ed that help us. And we will renew the vision impairment. I know Jesse and I didn't get a chance to connect on this, but it's only if we have a student, but as long as we're in the consortium, if we need it, we can access it, but we don't get charged unless we do. So that's what we would be thinking about on our end. What questions do you have?
do you have Becky the total increase for all this stuff later or no?
No, because I don't know like how much it was for some of this stuff in the past, because some of it's based on students. Further wonders?
And they don't know if they would have a psychologist, right? That we would be able to contract them.
Right, well, we were looking for trying to have all of our school psych time through them, and we didn't think they could accommodate that. So that's why we're gonna post a position to see if we can hire somebody for the district. The nice part about that, Jan, was the hope that if we could, even if it was 4 half-time people, they would each have a building, and it would make it easier for them to manage the caseload that they need to. This doesn't appear to be an option, so hopefully we get like 2 applicants, or 7. At least 1 highly qualified, right? 1 highly qualified is all we need. Any other questions?
This is not an agenda item tonight, but it'll come back for the end of March meeting. If other questions arise, certainly reach out. All right, that brings us to item 3, aligning, developing, and supporting our staff. Item A is review employee compensation for 24-25.
Again, just talking about that preparation for the 24-25 budget, obviously salaries and benefits is a huge part of that. Taking a look at Fund 10 and Fund 27 come out, because we know Fund 50 is self-sustaining fund, so, or it should be a self-sustaining fund, so we're not including those salaries within here, and also not including the Fund 80 salaries either. But looking at what a 3%, a 3.5%, and a 4% increase would look like for those different categories of workers that we have within the district. You can see the total amounts there. Some are remaining the same across the board because we don't generally get an increase in those unless we see some additional funds need to be added to those lines.
If you scroll down, you'll see that we've added in the corresponding fringe benefits that would go with that, or you guys have it in front of you. So for a total, so you can see the total increase at 3%, this is around 400,000, 3.5%, 475,000, and then 4% is around 548, for 548,000. It's important to know that these are allocated differently when you get down to the level of employee, right? So, salary support staff administration and, well, I think those are the only two employee groups that would be a straight percentage, right? Because they don't have salary schedules. When you look at support staff and you look at teacher compensation, those wages are all billed with a salary schedule. So we can't say that it's going to be 3% for every single person in the district, right? Because those dollar amounts in those cells are different for every step lane, however we have them built. So this is just a broad level look at what that percentage would be like from a district total cost. But it might be 3% for this person, it might be 3.5% for that person, depending on what their salary is within that salary schedule.
Can you talk a little bit about what it's based on, like in particular, like the teachers, I think specifically looking at next year's approximation, that was the year's experience and moving everybody up on the scale.
Yep, so when you look at the salary schedule, we'll say for teachers and support staff, we have the steps that are there, I believe we look for step 15. And then for support staff, we move across, so we have, I think, 4 different, we'll call them lanes as you go across. And so the way that we build with the support staff is, putting it on that first one, and then corresponding, there's increments that are added, whether it's 50 cents, I don't know exactly what it is, it's different for each lane. And then with the teachers, you are taking a total wage that we have for allocated to teachers and applying a 3%, or 3.5 or 4, depending on what the board decides, percentage, and then we allocate that down to a step and a lane to see what that is per step and lane.
So is the 23-24 the current budget, or is it actual?
No, it's budget.
Yep.
And we are trending very close. The one that I did modify was, you can see teacher subs, we're trending low on that, so I modified that dollar amount down.
Yeah, I was not asking. Yeah, and that's why I was asking if it was like actual or it was. Yeah.
So we're definitely getting to this season where this is our next big item to tackle. What questions do board have for admin to, what information?
So what kind of timing would you be looking at, like, you want a resolution or an action on it?
Yeah, so contracts go out for, certified staff May 15th, I believe. That's May 15th, May 15th. So we would be looking at action, we would like essentially action in April.
Questions, comments?
Well, it's hard just to look at the salary piece without looking at the whole budget. So I think we need to do both before we can decide.
So just speaking to that a little bit, when we talked about, when Dr. Stiles and I presented to staff regarding the budget for 24-25, and I believe we've also showed it at the board level, we've shown that increase at a 3.5%, within that bare model budget, showing that $2.4 million deficit. Of course, there's a lot of moving parts, right? We don't know what's gonna happen, what staff are leaving the district, what staff are coming into the district, but that's what we've built the model off of right now. So, going from 3.5 to 4 would put an additional $64,000 into that bare model as a deficit.
Plus, we already had a projection of a 2.4 deficit.
I was gonna say, and then add 64,000, because if we go from 3.5 to 4, yeah, that's the.
Focus, and that we already have the deficit.
So building on that, and, there's gonna have to be some discussions about how to wanna achieve that gap, and then, a deficit spend or what, right?
I mean, I can say that we are working right now as a team, looking at staffing and where we're at and where we need to be and what's reasonable and what's the expectation, right? When we talk about class sizes, we have an Osceola way that we do pieces, and are there ways to manage that and be more efficient or stabilize? And so that's what we're working on. And I would say had at least 5 meetings and talked through positions and people and who's retiring and how can we replace that, and with attrition, how much can we save and what does that look like different? An example would be the media specialist position with a retirement. What does that look like to replace it? And then does CESA contract employees to do that? Do they not? Do we need a media specialist because of these, right? So those are the conversations that as a team, we're looking at each other in the face and saying, okay, we really want and believe as a team that all the employees in this district deserve a raise. So in order to do that, there might have to be some less employees. And we understand that and are working to make that happen.
So Becky, your comment just now, an interesting one per se, on the media specialist. So we got a retirement coming up there, right? I was always under the impression we had to have one on staff. Is that not the case anymore?
Yes, you need to have one on staff, but it doesn't have to be a full-time person working in a library. Does that make sense?
So there's still us part-time employees?
Yeah, it could be part-time, it could be a part-time, it could be like I said, like a reading specialist, you can buy up to 20 days at CESA. And that can be your reading specialist for your district, because you can, yeah.
I'm just saying an example.
Example, yes, that's, you have to buy at least 20 days, right? Because right now we have a reading specialist on paper, but the curriculum person takes on most of that. Yeah, so it's looking at those pieces and saying, what can we, so you're right, yes, we need to have that. But there are other things that the DPI says that you have to have that we have to look at too, right? Like, the struggle with having 2 languages at the middle school. We're making it happen, but it's, yeah. So more to come on that until we have real conversations, because these are people we care about. It's real hard.
Many shifts in between.
Yes, for sure.
You're right, I mean, the employees do deserve a raise. And then we just have to try to figure out how to work it in there.
And it's complicated, because right now, Bear just raised 85% of school districts in the last 5 years have gone to Operation Referendum. 85% out of 421 school districts.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people who've had to reach back to their community to operate, not capital, but operate.
I feel like the puzzle's getting tighter, but more pieces.
Well, and it's complicated in our community, especially with property values increasing. So we have property values increasing, so your taxes are going up as a taxpayer. And the school district's then asking for dollars. That's a hard one for people to understand, that that's where we're at when it comes to operating buildings and making sure that we're a high quality public institution.
And the funding from them could be some revamp, we talked about that for years, right? So.
And every community thinks that their school district is the greatest school district in the state. And in reality, every school is hurting for money. It's not like they are trying to annoy their district by asking for money, but it's just the way when we have Democrats and Republicans never agreeing on stuff at the state level. It's great. Really great.
Well, I think knowing this impending deficit of this budget projection, I think people just wanna see that we're being responsible and we've had change in leadership, and so show us what you're doing
for that, and I'm hearing you saying we're working on it, and that's what we need to do, but, you know, people are saying, show me that you're making cuts, reductions, this and that, and it's not just that simple, it's not just, well, we don't need this, it's gone, it's people, like you talked about, so.
But again, we've already done so many budget cuts or
Correct.
reductions.
And we just don't need third grade, we'll just get rid of third grade, that's not how it works, right? It's not, declining enrollment is a thing, and that has a real impact, but it's not just a grade, it's a couple kids here and a couple kids there, and we're hiring a teacher who's a job that has a family, and so we gotta see how those numbers shake up too, so.
And on Friday at the superintendent meeting at cesa, one of the people from the ASB was there speaking and talked about how the funding formula from 1993 and the revenue unit piece, how that's being talked about, because there is a surplus right now. In order for there to be any change and shift, there has to be a surplus of dollars. And in Wisconsin, there is a surplus of dollars right now, but not sure that it's gonna go to public education to fix this, but there is conversation about that happening specifically because of the number of people that have, or number of school districts that are going to their community and having to continue to ask for dollars. That's not good for the community either. It doesn't build a community up to do that.
And the thing I don't like about, I mean, necessary evil here, right, part of this conversation, the thing I don't like is, for lack of a better term, I'll say fear mongering on our part, is that, you know, we're talking about how do we get to the budget, right? And it's like, it impacts real people here, right? And that's what I hate in that, you know, we have staff that are gonna say, oh, we gotta get to a number, right? It's like, am I gonna go that long? And it's like, you'll lose quality people just because of the fear mongering and the conversation, right? And so, that's the sucky part.
Well, I think it's the first time that I've heard in recent years where, I mean, I'm getting sent articles from across the state of Superior laying off 25 teachers, and I mean, that hasn't happened, and we're still struggling to have quality applicants for positions, and yet, you know, so it's a big change, and we want to make sure we have the best here and keep the best here and retain the best here, so. That being said, board, what else do we need to come to the table to make a decision? I'm hearing a little bit more insight into the whole budget from Jan. So we have the end of the month and then essentially April.
Well, I guess I would just throw out there, when do you want the decision in April? I've got one meeting if you want me to be there, because I already want to bring somebody new in to get them up to speed, so.
I've always liked the idea of doing it as the current board is leaving, we are changing. I think that's just best to try to onboard someone and have them make a decision first meeting is rough.
And you've been a part of this now.
So we should probably get some numbers probably for the next meeting then, so we can make a decision in the first one of April.
There may be some, because of individuals within that salaries per sector that we would have to have in closed session, but.
I think if we plan to review those ones next meeting, then come that first one in April, we should be set to.
We don't have a committee meeting the next meeting, it's just, so, then we're gonna bring it to a committee meeting and we have to make a decision that night.
Well,
That,
we bring it to the board meeting on the 27th.
right,
We'll just have an open dialogue with no decisions. That would be the plan. We would not ever want to do it as you described, have one meeting and then, or have it all.
have it at
kind of
5 o'clock and make a decision
No,
at 6.
no. Because that gives us more time too, if we don't have all the information to then bring to the committee meeting, but then potentially making that decision on time.
Well, I'm assuming we're going to see, are they doing this as they're working on student schedules and that? With the decrease in the high school enrollment, are we seeing changes in the high school schedules with how many classes are being taught, and are we running them when they're really small, or those kind of things?
The high school hasn't
I
been
mean,
as impacted by numbers, so we aren't seeing that as much. We just aren't, because they still have the 130s, a couple 130 classes there, so that holds them. It's more K-8 that we're seeing, where the numbers have really consistently stayed at 5 sections. We have one section right now that's at 6 in our K-8. Well, K-5, if you look at the
So, I mean, that makes it even more difficult to have like a budget discussion and then expect them to vote on it that first meeting in April.
Well, perhaps we'll have to come back to the table and have another meeting.
You're right, I was just gonna say there's nothing, I can't add another one, so I'm just gonna think of it as enough later.
And I would rather do that.
Yep.
Than the rest of this.
Absolutely. Okay. What else on
Just
employee
because I'm
compensation?
new, how does that work? How do we decide if we need another meeting?
Well, I'm hearing that we will.
Okay, that's what I'm hearing too, so that's why I'm like sitting here, like, so should we be scheduling that other meeting perhaps right now? Or,
I think we'll talk through it with April and have her do her meeting
Okay.
magic and figure it out and.
thank you. I just was like,
So after
what happens now?
election,
She looked at you, Craig, said you got this?
Leave until the end of the month,
like the third or fourth
like the 10 would
Monday, right?
tentatively be his last
I'd be,
meeting,
yeah,
so,
be on that.
so looking at the first week in April and I'll have April work the schedule magic and we have the CISA thing that week and selection week, so there's gonna be a moving parts, but we'll find.
There's plenty of time, yeah.
Okay. Anything else on employee compensation? No, and item B is review student worker compensation.
Just wanted to follow up from our last meeting and let you know that the wages that, we were talking about for summer school are in fact the student wages that we have in our handbook. So it is for food service, a student worker, kids club and summer school, first year is $9.75, second year is $10, and after graduation is $13. So there was a document that was out on the website that wasn't updated, but the other part was, so, yay, we found the error and fixed it. But I just want you to know that those were the wages for all student workers and they are consistent. Mhm.
Well, nothing else here, we'll, convene back at 6:30 for the regular board meeting. If anybody wants to look.